Hello there, you're watching Nightline. I'm Anita Wu. News making the headlines. BERSATU sacked from Selangor State Government, swearing in of new Melaka CM postponed to Monday. And Malaysia places travel restrictions on 7 new provinces in Italy, Japan and Iran in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. We begin with this story. Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia or BERSATU has been sacked from the Selangor government administration with immediate effect. In accordance to that, Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari said allocations for the 7 Assemblymen who have been removed from the Selangor government are now frozen.
Pakatan Harapan Negeri Selangor juga telah mengambil kira dinamika politik yang berlaku di peringkat persekutuan dan beberapa perubahan di peringkat negeri. Sehubungan itu, pimpinan tinggi Pakatan Harapan Selangor telah memaklumkan pada Yang Maha Mulia Tuanku bahawa pentadbiran negeri Selangor tidak lagi dianggotai oleh Parti Pribumi Bersatu ataupun Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia ataupun BERSATU, dan secara automatik BERSATU bukan lagi dalam koalisi kerajaan negeri Selangor.
Speaking at a media conference at his official residence, Datuk Seri Amiruddin said the BERSATU leadership and members will also be excluded from the State Executive Council, local authorities, state government subsidiaries as well as village heads. The Selangor State Government now comprises of PKR with 19 seats, DAP 16 seats and Parti Amanah Negara 8 seats, while the opposition-packed BERSATU and Barisan Nasional have 5 seats each, PAS 1 and Independent 2, including Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali. In a twist of events, 4 Selangor Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia Assemblymen have voiced their support for the Pakatan Harapan State Government. The 4 Assemblymen from Jeram, Kuang, Batang Kali and Dengkil said this was their stand after meeting with Party Chairman Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad on Thursday.
4 orang adun di Selangor ini daripada BERSATU menyokong kerajaan Pakatan Harapan Negeri Selangor. Jadi itu saja yang boleh kita kongsikan pada petang ni, dan detailnya akan kita perbincang berlanjutan ini kita akan berbincang terus dengan Yang Amat Berhormat Menteri Besar bagaimana kaedahnya untuk kita melakukan merging semula ataupun untuk bersama-sama dalam Pakatan Harapan. Kita ada 5 kerusi.
He was speaking at a media conference after a meeting with Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad for an hour-long discussion at the Perdana Leadership Foundation in Putrajaya on Thursday. Salihuddin said the 4 of them support the state government because they appreciate the mandate given by the people of Selangor. Besides Salihuddin, the other 3 Assemblymen are Jeram Assemblyman Muhammad Syed Rosli, Harumaini Omar of Batang Kali and Adif Shan Abdullah of Dengkil. BERSATU has 5 elected representatives in Selangor. The 5th Selak Kelang Assemblyman, Dato' Abdul Rashid Asari, was not present at the meeting.
Di tempat-tempat yang di luar daripada bandar yang disiapkan dalam masa 3 tahun. Daripada jumlah ini sebanyak 900.
Over in Melaka, the swearing-in of the new Chief Minister, which was scheduled on Friday, has been postponed to Monday. Melaka State Secretary Datuk Seri Hasim Hassan, in a statement on Thursday, said the Yang di-Pertua Negeri Tun Muhammad Khalil Yaakob has ordered the ceremony to take place on March 9th at 3:30 p.m. Earlier, Melaka's Barisan Nasional (BN) announced that it has retracted its cooperation with 2 BERSATU Assemblymen after initially agreeing to work with them. Instead, the party comprising of 13 Assemblymen will work with 2 other PKR and DAP Assemblymen from Rembia and Bengkalan Batu to try and form the state government.
Dengan ini, saya mengesahkan bahawa 13 adun BN bersama dengan adun Rembia, Muhammad Jalani bin Kamis dan Yang Berhormat Datuk Nurhizam bin Hassan Bakti, Bengkalan Batu, membentuk satu gabungan baru disokong dengan sekuat akuan bersumpah untuk dipersembahkan kepada Tuan Yang Terutama Tun.
The two BERSATU Assemblymen left out are Datuk Muhammad Rafiq Naiza Mohidin, representing Paya Rumput, and Datuk Nur Effendi Ahmad from the Teluk Mas seat. Datuk Sri Abdul Rauf, however, stressed that this does not affect the cooperation at the national level. The new coalition now has 15 seats, with the addition of the two Assemblymen from PKR and DAP, enough to form the state government with a simple majority. Pakatan Harapan, meanwhile, has 11 seats, with BERSATU having 2 seats. More students scored straight A's for 2019's Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM examination compared to 2018. According to Education Director General Habibah Abdul Rahim, a total of 8,876 or 2.28% of candidates scored grade A+, A and A- for all subjects. English marked the highest improvement among other core subjects with a 0.17 subject average grade GPMP difference compared to the previous year's results. In announcing the 2019 SPM result analysis at the Education Ministry on Thursday, Habibah said of 389,498 students that sat for SPM last year, 59.99% or 233,652 candidates obtained at least a pass for all subjects they sat for.
Peratus calon yang mendapat sekurang-kurangnya 5 kepujian termasuk Bahasa Melayu dan lulus sejarah adalah 63.32%. Jumlah calon yang mendapat sekurang-kurangnya 3 kepujian termasuk Bahasa Melayu dan lulus sejarah pula adalah 73.19%. Pada tahun 2019 juga, sebanyak 78.93% calon telah menguasai 2 bahasa, iaitu sekurang-kurangnya lulus mata pelajaran Bahasa Melayu dan Bahasa Inggeris.
Habibah also said that the 2019 SPM results also recorded a better national average grade, GPN, of 4.86 compared to 4.89 in 2018, where the lower score showed better achievement. In addition, the percentage of candidates who are eligible to be awarded the SPM certificate also increased by 0.33%, with 86.72% of candidates who sat for the examination last year being eligible to receive the certificate, up from 86.39% in 2018. As for special needs candidates, Habibah said that out of 1,402 students, 860 were qualified to be awarded the certificates. In the meantime, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said on Thursday he was committed to bringing further development and progress to the country's education system. According to the Prime Minister, he wanted to see students who were skilled could embrace science and technology, as well as English and Bahasa Melayu.
Saya komited untuk menentukan supaya sistem pendidikan negara kita ini akan menjadi sebagai satu sistem yang lebih baik, yang boleh melahirkan pelajar-pelajar yang berkemahiran, dapat menguasai bidang pendidikan khususnya dalam bidang sains dan teknologi, penguasaan bahasa Inggeris yang lebih baik, bahasa Melayu yang lebih baik, penguasaan semua bidang-bidang pelajaran, mata pelajaran yang juga lebih baik.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin said this in a surprise visit to Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah, SAS Putrajaya, during the school's SPM result announcement ceremony. This was his first public engagement since he became the 8th Prime Minister on March 1st. He handed out certificates to 9 excellent students that scored all A+ in SPM and also congratulated their teachers for their dedication and their parents for commitment to seeing their children succeed. SAS ranked at 3rd place in SPM 2019 among full hostel schools nationwide, and it came in at 1st place among schools in Putrajaya with a national average grade of 1.17. In Perak, a physically impaired SMK Methodist ACS student, Oscar Wong Kin Lap, beat the odds and scored 10 A's in the SPM. Wong, aged 18, said disability is not an obstacle to excel and described the continuous support from his family, teachers and friends as the driving force behind his SPM results. Wong also said he consistently put in up to 3 hours of revision daily and paid full attention during lessons in class. Over in Sarawak, despite suffering from vision problems in Form 4, SMK Meradong student Jane Teng Siu Wei did not lose sight of her goals and scored 9 A's in the SPM exams. The youngest child with 2 older siblings said it took her a year to accept her disadvantage and resorted to using a magnifying glass to aid her with reading textbooks. She added that she did not go for tuition classes as she lived in a remote area, but that did not discourage her from trying to achieve her dream of doing well in the examination. Meanwhile, in Terengganu, despite being diagnosed with learning disabilities, Muhammad Syahmi Ashraf Samsul Muarif never let it stop him from scoring excellent results in the examination. Muhammad Syahmi of SMK Panji Alam also emerged as the best candidate under the Special Needs Candidate category this year for scoring 7 A's. The youngest of 2 siblings who was diagnosed with autism said the disability was not an obstacle to excel and instead described it as a source of strength to motivate him to study harder. 5 more new COVID-19 cases have been confirmed on Thursday, with all of them having had close contact with case 26. The Health Ministry also announced that it will temporarily ban the entry for visitors from several regions and cities in Italy, Hokkaido in Japan, and 3 cities in Iran.
Kesemua kes baru ini berhubung kait dengan satu kes kluster COVID-19 yang telah dikenal pasti sebelum ni yang melibatkan kes positif kes 26. Kes-kes ini merupakan kontak rapat kepada kes positif COVID-19 dalam kluster tersebut. Justru sehingga kini jumlah kes positif bagi kluster ini adalah sebanyak 28 kes. Siasatan dan pengesanan kontak bagi kluster tersebut masih diteruskan.
Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham said the 5 new cases has brought the total cases in Malaysia to 55. Of these numbers, 22 have already recovered and have been discharged from hospitals. Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham said the Coronavirus Disease Cluster Working Committee has also decided to temporarily ban visitors from Lombardy, Veneto and Emilia-Romagna in Italy. Investigations into high-profile cases involving politicians will continue despite the change in the country's political landscape. According to Inspector General of Police, Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Badur, police will not bow to any kind of pressure in the course of its investigations.
Sekiranya ada apa-apa yang mengeluarkan arahan-arahan menghalang ke apa semua, itu memang menyalahilah ya, sebab itu kehendak undang-undang yang mesti dipatuhi semua pihak.
He was speaking to the media after signing the Strategic Collaboration Declaration between the police and the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA at the Marine Police Operations Centre in Port Klang earlier on Thursday. Also present was MMEA Director General, Maritime Vice Admiral Datuk Muhammad Zubil Matsom. According to Tan Sri Abdul Hamid, the strategic collaboration between the 2 agencies would involve the use of assets, sharing of intelligence information and staff in an effort to curb criminal activities in Malaysian waters. Among the high-profile cases is Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan Tengku Mansur's graft trial. The former Federal Territories Minister told the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Thursday that the 2 million ringgit given to him by businessman Tan Sri Chai Kin Kong was like, quote-unquote, pocket money to him. Testifying in his defence trial, Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan also disagreed that he needed to declare the 2 million ringgit to former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak as required by the Code of Ethics for members of administration. He said the money was a political donation to Federal Territories UMNO and had nothing to do with Datuk Sri Najib nor UMNO headquarters. The former minister also admitted that he needed the money for elections as he never asked for any contributions from the UMNO headquarters. During his defence, Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan also testified that he sold most of his companies worth hundreds of millions of ringgit to become a debt-free minister. He said he told then Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad that he was working for several companies and agreed to sell several of them, including Mutiara Telecom, before becoming a full minister. The Putrajaya MP was clarifying why he disagreed with Deputy Public Prosecutor Julia Ibrahim's suggestion earlier that he had failed to comply with the Code of Conduct for members of the administration due to his continued ownership of a majority stake in Tat Mansuri Holdings. On Wednesday, Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan confirmed that he had declared his assets during his tenure in the cabinet since 2001, 3 prime ministers, namely Tun Dr. Mahathir, Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi and Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak. He also confirmed that he had declared his assets amounting to more than 900 million ringgit in 2001, about 700 million ringgit in 2006, and 691 million ringgit, as well as 782 million ringgit in 2013 and 2016, respectively. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has started investigations into Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan's wealth following an asset declaration made in the High Court on Wednesday. MACC Chief Commissioner Latheefa Koya said a probe is underway after the former Federal Territories Minister revealed that he declared over 900 million ringgit in assets throughout his political career, where he served under 3 Prime Ministers.
Aset lebih kurang 800 juta. So pihak MACC perkara ini agak serius dan saya telah beri arahan untuk siasatan ini berkaitan. Our issue is not about the revelation of the asset, but how we got that asset.
Now, hours after making appearance at the High Court, Latheefa is believed to have informed Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin of her intention to resign as the MACC Chief Commissioner. According to a source, Latheefa is expected to submit her resignation letter to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah soon. It was reported that Latheefa had a meeting with Tan Sri Muhyiddin on Thursday morning. Latheefa was not available to comment on the matter. Latheefa was appointed as the MACC Chief Commissioner on June 1st last year. Still to come on Nightline, Marine Police seized 3.3 million ringgit worth of cigarettes in Muar and Tangkak. Don't go away. Welcome back, still on Nightline. In what is believed to be the biggest seizure, the Region 2 Marine Police have confiscated 3.3 million ringgit's worth of cigarettes in 2 separate raids in Muar and Tangkak since Tuesday. According to Johor Police Chief Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Pichai, 2 suspects were also arrested during the raids to facilitate investigations. Dato' Ayub said the first raid, which was conducted by 2 teams from Tampoi and Muar in Pekan Rawang, Tangkak, at about 2 p.m. on Tuesday, involved a lorry driven by a 31-year-old local man. Following a check on the vehicle, the department seized 212 boxes containing 2 million sticks of cigarettes worth 3.1 million ringgit. The second suspect, aged 28 meanwhile, was arrested at 3 p.m. on Wednesday at an oil palm plantation in Bukit Pasir, where police also confiscated contraband cigarettes worth about 216,150 ringgit in a lorry.
Hasil pemeriksaan lanjut di bahagian belakang motor lori tersebut telah menjumpai 6 kotak yang turut dipercayai rokok tidak bercukai custom. Kedua-dua kes tersebut dipercayai saling berkaitan melibatkan sedikit pengedaran rokok tidak bercukai.
Dato' Ayub said the case is being investigated under Section 1351D of the Customs Act 1967. The first suspect has been remanded for 12 days and the second for 3 days. Police believe the cigarettes were brought into the country through the north of the peninsula and were bound for West Johor. In Johor, 4 men died while 2 others were hurt in a deadly crash between an MPV and a tow truck at kilometre 14 Jalan Mersing, Endau on Thursday morning. Mersing District Police Chief Cyril Edward Nuing said the accident occurred at around 4 a.m. when a Toyota Avanza with 4 men in it from Endau heading towards Mersing lost control and crossed into the opposite lane, causing it to crash into a tow truck. The crash killed the driver of the Avanza, Tengku Zahid Tengku Endut, and his 3 passengers, Kamaruddin Salim alias Fu Chi Heng, Muhammad Shazrik Adam, and Muhammad Nurul Haq Muhammad. All the victims are believed to be from Kuala Terengganu. Meanwhile, the tow truck driver, Unku Muhammad Sarizan Unku Ahmad, aged 33, and his passenger, Muhyiddin Saideli, aged 41, were injured in the collision. The bodies of the dead were sent to the Mersing Hospital for post-mortem. Over in Pahang, a man was sentenced to 6 years jail at the Temerloh Magistrate Court for sexually abusing his 2 stepdaughters, aged 8 and 10 years old, respectively. Judge Hakim Azwar Cik Yusof also ordered the 56-year-old man to be under police surveillance for 3 years after the jail terms come to an end. The accused, however, pleaded not guilty to 4 more charges under the same offences, which were allegedly committed separately between December last year and February this year at a house in Taman Pulai Idaman. No bail was offered, and the court fixed April 20th for remention of the case. Next on Nightline, OPEC agrees on massive oil supply cut to offset coronavirus impact. There's some more when we return.
Help! Bring me ahead.
There is an evil in this world, and I cannot keep it quiet.
On her 16th birthday, she will prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and fall into a sleep like death, a sleep from which she will never awaken.
Tak tahu, becak tak tentu. Kadang ada lebih, kadang ada kurang, kan. Kadang pergi tak ada pun ada. Kalau tak bayar nanti dia tarik, kan.
Bila dia dah pergi, cucu tu ibarat ganti dia lah. Akak jaga. Cucu ni bukan beban. Tapi sebab kita keluarga besar. Keluarga besar lepas tu dengan pendapatan yang tak cukup.
We're back with sports news now. Football, the French Cup. Kylian Mbappé scored a hat-trick as Paris Saint-Germain thrashed Olympique Lyonnais 5-1 on Wednesday to reach the cup final and remain on course for a domestic treble. Derrière put the hosts ahead on the 11th minute when he latched onto Karl Toko Nkambi's pass before Mbappé equalised 3 minutes later by deflecting in Lyon Kuzawa's header into the net. PSG then romped to a 3-1 lead thanks to goals from Neymar Jr. from the spot in the 64th minute, followed by Mbappe's second of the night 6 minutes later. Sarabia rubbed salt in Lyon's wounds later on with a fourth from close range before Mbappé rounded it off with another goal in stoppage time, completing his hat-trick. PSG will next take on holders Stade Rennes or Saint-Etienne at the Stade de France on April 25th. Now, before we wrap up this edition of Nightline, let's have a quick look at what's been installed on the front pages of Malaysia's main newspapers awaiting you Friday, March 6th. The New Straits Times highlights a report that urges all Malaysians to not press the panic button amid the spread of COVID-19. The nation's best-selling Malay newspaper, Harian Metro, focuses on the political crisis in Melaka and Selangor, whereas Berita Harian put reports on Saudi Arabia's temporary suspension of Umrah visa and the IGP's promise to proceed with high-profile trials on its front page. And the report of Grab Malaysia eyeing for digital banking business license taking the centre stage of the Malaysian Reserve. Be among the first to get your copies today. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's have a quick look as Italy marks 500 years since the death of Renaissance master Raphael, with a blockbuster exhibition whose preparations were marred by a row over a portrait which some feared was too fragile to move. With that, I'm Anita Wu. Thank you for watching. Good night.